Xbox has multiple gaming events leading up to the big E3 showcase where Bethesda and Xbox will show off some brand new games. And we finally got Sony's response to MLB The Show on Xbox Game Pass. There's a lot here to talk about, so let's get into it. What is going on, everybody? It's Randall419, the man with the million, back again with another video. I hope everyone's having an excellent day, and if you guys can do me a huge favor, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and please hit that notification bell if you haven't already. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you thought Xbox was done being in the news 24/7, if you thought they had no more announcements to make, if you thought that the Bethesda roundtable with the announcement that the Bethesda games would be exclusive would be the end, if you thought Xbox was going to stop with just Outriders and MLB The Show Day 1 and Xbox Game Pass, you would be completely wrong. Absolutely nothing stops this Xbox train, and we have a whole bunch of different things we need to talk about in this video. Regarding MLB The Show 21 and Xbox Game Pass, Sony finally responded a few days after the initial announcement, and we're going to check out what they had to say a little bit later on in the video. Between now and E3 in June, Xbox will be holding 4 events. That's right, 4 events, and we're going to be talking about what each event is and what is going to be detailed at each one of these gaming events that Microsoft will be holding on. And the big one, the one that everybody wants to know about, is E3. Yes, it is coming back. Yes, it is going to be in all digital form. And yes, Xbox and Bethesda are confirmed to be there. The ESA recently confirmed that E3 will officially be returning this year, with the show set for an all digital, all free event this June. The likes of Microsoft, Nintendo, Ubisoft, Take-Two, Capcom, and many more have been confirmed to be involved in some capacity or the other, but many have also noted that some big names were missing. One of those is Bethesda. Even though they have been acquired by Microsoft, Bethesda have had annual E3 conferences for some time now, and reports have suggested that even in spite of the Microsoft deal, the Bethesda and Xbox conferences would be kept separate. According to journalist Jeff Grubb, that's still going to be the case. Well, to some extent. Taking to Twitter, Grubb stated that the Xbox and Bethesda E3 events will be part of the same stream, but they will still be separate conferences. The Xbox conference, according to Grubb, will lead directly into Bethesda's show, but there will be a delineation between the two. That does, of course, make you wonder exactly what the combined length of these two shows is going to be. Now, this is the event that every Xbox fan is going to mark down on their calendar whenever it does get announced. We know that E3 digital event is supposed to be taking place anywhere between June 12th and June 15th. If I would have a guess right now without knowing anything, I would peg the Xbox and Bethesda event for June 13th, which is a Sunday. I think Xbox wants as many eyeballs on the content that they are going to put out there, and Sunday seems like a pretty good day to do that. Now, this 2-event thing is pretty interesting. You're going to have Xbox Game Studios going first, showcasing perhaps new gameplay demos for the very first time of titles like Hellblade 2, Forza Horizon 5, a lengthy reveal of new campaign and perhaps multiplayer gameplay of Halo Infinite, and potential release windows given for titles that might be coming in 2022 from Xbox Game Studios, like Everwild and Avowed, among others. But then it's not going to end, because right after that hour-long or hour-and-a-half long show, Bethesda's going to take the stage and probably talk for at least an hour about the games that they're going to be bringing exclusively to Xbox, PC, and platforms that have Game Pass. So we will get our first look and deep dive into Starfield, and hopefully a release date that will confirm that the game is launching this holiday, and also probably the announcement of Wolfenstein 3, potentially Arcane's next game, and maybe whatever Roundhouse Studios is working on. So you're going to have at minimum 2 hours of Xbox content, an hour of Xbox Game Studios, an hour of Bethesda, maybe even longer, and that is something I am 100% excited for and can't wait to see. But that event isn't taking place till sometime in June, and we already know that Xbox is having multiple events leading up to that June showcase, and in fact, their next event is really soon, later on in this month on April 21st. Microsoft kicks off its GameStack Live event, a session-based show primarily aimed at developers and companies building games for Xbox and PC. GameStack is Microsoft's suite of services for game development. It includes the Havok physics engine, which powers physics calculations in many games, PlayFab, which helps manage analytics and scaling for multiplayer games, and of course, Xbox services in Azure, allowing devs to run their games in the cloud. Microsoft will also host a keynote from Xbox lead Phil Spencer to kick off the event and discuss the future of gaming, alongside a separate keynote dedicated to the, quote, next generation of gaming graphics. There will also be discussions hosted by AMD on their open source Fidelity FX engine for RDNA 2 capable devices such as the new gen Xbox consoles. Fidelity FX helps remove noise from graphically intense visuals at high resolutions, including ray tracing, alongside various other powerful visual enhancement techniques and features. NVIDIA will also present to discuss how they work with Microsoft and Mojang to implement RTX ray tracing in Minecraft. Now, one of the big announcements coming from GameStack Live is a new SDK for DirectX 12 dubbed the Agility SDK. With the new Agility SDK, Microsoft is aiming to solve a pain point for developers who say adapting new DirectX 12 graphic features is cumbersome. With the Agility SDK, Microsoft will claim that the new features are easier to adopt, won't interrupt or impact existing games, and come with more reliable bug fixes. Using this new SDK, you could expect games to get graphic optimizations more rapidly, since developers won't have to wait for user adaptation to kick in before moving to the new feature sets. Some developers like 343 Industries, Turn 10, and Epic Games have already been testing out the new SDK, which should become available for more developers around the time of the show. Now, I know a lot of people will definitely be interested in those SDK improvements, the graphics that the Xbox Series X puts out. There's even sessions that deal with xCloud, but one of the sessions I personally am really interested in is Xbox Game Pass, because there's a session aimed entirely at discussing Xbox's Game Pass growth, the lessons Microsoft has learned so far, and what it means for developers. There's a chance we could hear an official update on the amount of users in Xbox Game Pass around the event as a result, which was previously revealed to be at 18 million back in January. Microsoft will discuss figures and engagement opportunities with developers and identify trends and changes in consumer habits as a result of being in the service. Microsoft will also discuss how it's continuing to add value to the service through perks and through Project xCloud, Xbox Game Pass game streaming. There's a chance we could finally get a time frame or launch date for Xbox Game Pass on the web. As a result, Game Pass on the web will bypass Apple's anti-consumer, anti-competitive store rules, which has thus far blocked Xbox Game Pass from availability on iPhones and iPads. And the reason I'm interested in this one about Game Pass is because I feel like we've turned the corner with Game Pass to the point where getting AAA games day one on the service is now a viable strategy. We've seen Outriders hit the service day one, MLB The Show 21 basically destroyed the internet. PlayStation fans who have supported that game for quite some time were really upset to learn that Xbox fans would be able to play it for free while they would have to pay $70. And of course, I've been saying for a while now that those two games are just the beginning, and expect Microsoft to make more deals getting AAA games in the future. And I'll probably talk a little bit more about that in tomorrow's video. I just find the journey of Xbox Game Pass pretty interesting when everybody in the industry sort of shunned it and thought that this will only hurt our games, to here we are in 2021 where there's a waiting list for developers to get their game on this service, and almost everybody wants to be on Game Pass because it has something like 20 million users ready to engage with that content, and how it only helps the game, whether it's through sales or through advertising or something. And it would be interesting to see Microsoft's analytical data that they shared with Square Enix or with MLB to say, hey, put your game day one on Game Pass, it's only going to help, it's not going to hurt, and how Xbox is sort of breaking that stigma around big AAA games day one in a subscription service. So we have two E3 conferences basically confirmed, Xbox Game Studios and a Bethesda one back to back. We have this GameStack Live happening in April, and then there is a What's Next for Gaming event that Microsoft will be holding sometime in May, and maybe that's where we get the announcement of Xbox Game Pass streaming coming to iOS and PC. Maybe that's where Microsoft announces that they've purchased Discord. Either way, it definitely seems that leading up to E3, Microsoft is constantly going to be in the news, whether it's through Game Pass announcements or events that they're putting on. Now, one of the most shocking announcements of the year had to be last Friday when Microsoft and MLB announced that MLB The Show 21, a former PlayStation exclusive developed by a first-party PlayStation developer, would not only be coming to Xbox, but hitting Game Pass on day one. And there was a lot of discussion back and forth about who brokered the deal. Was Sony involved? Was MLB basically going behind Sony's back? And PlayStation officially responded to it. And it's just like I said in my video, Microsoft dealt with MLB, and Sony may have been completely blindsided, but I think they knew the deal was happening. So according to PlayStation, the decision to bring MLB The Show 21 to more platforms and Game Pass came straight from MLB. Quote, "As part of the goal for this year's game, MLB decided to bring the franchise to more players and baseball fans," a PlayStation representative tells Inverse. "This decision provides a unique opportunity to further establish MLB The Show as the premier brand for baseball video games." Harding Royals points out that Game Pass attractiveness to publishers relies on Microsoft's willingness to spend the money necessary to close these deals. Harding Royals believes Microsoft paid a steep fee for MLB The Show to sweeten the deal for MLB and Sony. Quote, "From Microsoft's perspective, even paying a substantial sum to secure the game on release is worth it. Microsoft is not thinking about short-term profitability as it continues its aggressive content and subscriber acquisition path for Game Pass. Competitively, the optics of this move are strong, and it keeps the Game Pass momentum building." Man, I wonder what this guy is going to say in a few months when Microsoft continues to get more AAA games in the service. One thing's for sure, the Game Pass momentum will continue to build and build and build, and I think the goal is for Xbox Game Pass to reach 30 million subscribers by the end of the year, and that definitely seems doable. Now, if anybody's out there thinking that this is a brand new Sony, that hey, this is the first step into them putting games in Game Pass or whatever, the analysts believe this isn't the case. This development is unlikely to have tangible ramifications on future Sony exclusives. I believe this was a unique case where a game's license holder forced Sony's hand, and Harding Royals comes to the similar conclusion saying, quote, "I don't expect Sony to make a habit of it, no. Still, the release of MLB The Show 21 is a groundbreaking moment as a Sony game comes to Xbox Game Pass for the first time." Yes, I kind of agree with both these guys. This is an outlier case. The only reason it happened is because MLB made Sony bend the knee and put the game not only on Xbox but on Game Pass day one. But that's it. Don't expect God of War, don't expect Spider-Man, don't expect Days Gone 2 to ever come to Xbox platforms. However, those games will more than likely end up on the PC. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think about all this in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that notification bell if you always want to be notified immediately whenever I drop a new video like this. Please share this out on social media or tell a friend about the channel. And if you want to take your support even further, you can always hit that join button where you will get access to channel badges and emotes for the Xbox 2 podcast we do every single Friday with Jez Corden from Windows Central. Thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Later, guys.